During the February session of the UN Human Rights Council, the Geneva Center for Human Rights Advancement and Global Dialogue and the Permanent Mission of Algeria organized this exhibition and panel discussion on the theme Veiling, Unveiling, the Headscarf in Christianity, Islam and Judaism.
I think it's so important that such exhibitions are held because they lead to intercultural dialogue, they lead to interreligious dialogue. They lead us to talk to one another, to share our common values and to see our differences also. We are all different. And this intercultural exchange makes us really who we are and encourages and even opens our heart larger to a universal and global friendship and brotherhood where we respect the differences, accept the differences, and also complement one another.
Denying women their right to wear or not to wear the headscarf contradicts Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which includes the freedom to manifest one's religion or belief in public or in private.
For Catholic women, it was customary before the 1960s to cover their head when entering a church.
The biblical basis for head covering is found in 1 Corinthians 11, 2-16. Does this not apply anymore? Is this not up to date?
One could say that it's not up to date by virtue of the fact that it was then up to date. But the world has moved on 2,000 years later. So when Paul encourages women to cover their hair, it was to the people of Corinth at his time. It just simply addresses the fact that the Bible is a living book. It is not a stone, just something standing. And religions must therefore also be living practices that take in every generation, every thought, philosophical opinions to be au courant, to be up to date.
You know, that's a good example for why we need the teaching office of the church to interpret the Bible, the scriptures, not just take them as they are, but to interpret them.
Exactly, and why you have the magisterium, that's what we call it, is that the magisterium uses historical knowledge, theological, biblical, anthropological, even scientific knowledge to look at the people of each time and generation, take the central message of a biblical passage and interpret them in the life of those people. And that's Vatican II, to consider the signs of the times and interpret them in the light of the gospel.
Especially in the West, many regard traditional Muslim hijabs as a sign of oppression and forced by religion to wear the garments.
The problem as voiced by many protesters is not this headscarf as a garment, but the legal obligation to have to wear it. The legal obligation not to wear a headscarf is equally objectionable.
For Catholics, the declaration Inter Insigniores by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith has made it clear that head covering for women was a matter of ecclesiastical discipline only.
So wearing a headscarf or covering your head is not really a divine law?
It is neither divine law, nor is it even ecclesiastical law. It is tradition. But it's a beautiful tradition which some take and some do not take. In Africa, we practice it, not everywhere, in some places. In Europe, we practice it in some places and not in other places. But once people make out of the headscarf a divine law, that's where you start having ideologies.
Some European countries had banned full-face veils. For them, this is foremost a security issue.
Well, the arguments Europe may bring in is one, security, and that might be true because we live now in an era of terrorism and people may use such opportunities, but that's not principally terrorism. It's not just about terrorism, it's just about having an open culture.
As stated in an advertisement used by Lakeridge Health, a community-based hospital in Ontario, Canada, that illustrated the management's attitudes towards their female staff. They said, "We don't care what's on your head, we care what's in it."
The exhibition and panel countered misconceptions, deconstructed stereotypes, and presented the headscarf as a bridge between cultures and religions.